Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Prince Podcast here on Podcast Juice. My name is Michael Dean, and I'm doing a one-on-one today. Joining me today is a man with, no introduction is needed, man. We're just going to call him Cousin Chazz. Chazz, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, my brother. How about you?
Man, I'm doing blessed, and I appreciate you for coming on, man, and chopping it up with us today. The first time you came on the show, that was one of our big shows, man, on YouTube. There's a lot of conversation that came from that. And people have always been saying, we got to get Chazz back on here. And after the recent events recently, and this is probably a very good time for you to come back on. And I don't want to waste a lot of time, man. We want to get into it and let's get some good conversation going.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, and let's get down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's start here, man. I just want to hear from you. I was in Minneapolis, as many fans were, on the 19th or the 20th, whichever day the press conference was from the authorities. And I want to hear, based off of what you heard on that, man, just what are your thoughts on that, man? And where does that set things for you now?
Well, to be really honest, I kind of knew ahead of time. I had been talking to law enforcement since Prince passed, and I couldn't really reveal everything that I knew. And a lot of fans were of course they were understandably impatient about information but I really couldn't say anything, but I knew a lot. People were saying things but I kind of knew it was going to be the result that it ended up being, that there would be a small fine, or that it would be hard to bring whoever had mixed up the pills for Prince and had administered them to him or got them for him, or however form in which you want to say that he got them. Now that information is leaked out of what was going on behind the scene, I'm hoping, and I was hoping as they did the press release, I thought, and like I said, I knew that was coming and it was going to be their result. I had already ahead of time, my team, we had already planned to further investigate on our own and get other people, lawyers and people like that I've already put together, so that as soon as this happened, we would be ready to come out again and start trying, now that we kind of know a lot more now, we can further investigate this and really kind of get Prince some justice, and that's what I really was intending to do all along. And so I was hip to that. I can't tell you honestly. I mean, I can tell you honestly. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for all that type of attention, but I guess it's what this brings. It brings, Prince brings that kind of thing, but I wanted to make sure that anybody else that's in a situation like that you would continue to fight for your loved ones, because upon learning all the things I've learned about what happened to Prince, I met a lot of people, and I'm meeting more people who've experienced loved ones who have died in the same kind of way from the same thing Prince had. So, I hope that answers the question. I probably flew all over the place.
You're good. And just for the record, what is justice for you? I mean, what are you looking to find?
Well, to me, from what I found out, I know exactly where the fentanyl came from that killed my cousin. But I don't know who gave it to him. My name wasn't on the pill bottles, and neither is anybody that I know. I know that the doctor goofed up, and I feel like some of the people and associates were around him messed up, and they're not talking or anything like that. So to me, if you don't have anything to hide, why aren't you out here speaking like me? You should be saying, I didn't do anything. I have nothing to do with it. Don't hide. Don't run and go get no lawyers. Don't be running around. Now I know more than I ever wanted to know about some of the characters that Prince had around him in his last days and times. I don't really, justice for me would be to see them, those people in particular, and they know who they are. I would love for them to have to pay a price for that, not just running around here. I would say follow the money, and who rises after somebody like Prince falls.
So
just my opinion.
no, respect that. Now, again, there's a lot of people, a lot of fans and people that are not family. And some people would say, hey, why are you doing this? So my question would be asked, and I'm kind of jumping around. My question is, are you in dialogue with the other family members, particularly the family members who are, I guess part of the estate or who have, supposedly have control of that? Has there ever been a meeting with the family to say, yo, this is the situation? Has other family members been asking questions? I'm really curious, like, what is the communication between you guys?
Well, to be really honest with you, I went on my own, and I got to be honest with you, I was hoping everybody would jump on board. We've asked some family members and so on. I won't name which ones, but in particular, I always wondered why the heirs haven't said anything. That's just being honest. But I also respect the fact that they are overwhelmed with this whole thing, as anybody would be. It's probably easier to say that what you would do and what you wouldn't do as an heir to someone like Prince, but I'm just leaving that door open. I haven't pursued anyone. I just have been in my own lane and trying to protect my cousin the best way I can after his passing and get the truth out. This is just my own mission because, cousins are important. I don't know how folks want to, they're going like, I've had some people go like, well, why me? And kind of like in that negative sense. And I'm going like you want to try to I don't need the light. That's not what it's all about to me. It was like somebody like him, as much as Prince is given to the world, somebody has to say something like to this and speak to it. And we can't let it lay down. I'm not going to let it lay down. So if anybody thinks that this is just, some joke or I'm going to be, we'll get him to fall off, you're sadly mistaken because it's never going to happen until I find out exactly what happened because it's been crazy since he died on that plane. And I was hoping that some family members would step up, but, I understand, too, that they've got a lot on their plates to carry. So I hope that answers that. It's just Charles Chazz Smith by myself and my family, my immediate family, my wife and a few people that are like yourself and tons of people, the fans that want to know what's going on because they seen what I seen the night that that plane went down. And from then on, it's just been, I don't know, it's just been insane. So I don't expect anybody else to get in with me. I feel like this is just my mission since me and Prince were little kids. I was the older cousin. I'm supposed to watch out for him, my aunts and my uncles, everyone. They all thought, you guys look out for each other. So I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do.
Why do you think and I could be wrong, but why do you think the estate is not pushing for this, or are they?
That's an interesting question. It appears that they're really not. They're on a whole different narrative. Like I said, they have a lot of different things hitting them from all over the place. Prince's music, selling off the property, the museum, all the things that, I wouldn't want put on me for any reason at all. So I don't know I can't even explain to you why or why not. I just don't know.
And just to be clear on this, have you had any conversation with Tyka or any of the other heirs?
Well, I've learned lately, my cousin Omar has been trying to reach out to me, which is really strange because when Prince first passed, he was saying, don't talk to the media. The family meeting was, don't say anything to the media. And I did. So they were, people were kind of pissed at me, but I didn't care. I'm their older cousin. I was here before Omar. Me and Prince wrote a song about him when he was born. So I told him to step back a little bit. But I've heard he's reached out. My wife has told me that he's reached out. He's on vacation, I guess, and he wants to talk to me. So maybe that'll be one. Tyka, I've seen Tyka a couple times. we haven't got a chance to, just the spirit wasn't right to really kind of get into it. But after Prince passed, we've had a, we sat down and we rapped, but not about the specifics. But she kind of told me some pictures were missing that were supposed to go to us, that Prince had and was wanting to give to us. Mm. And she also told me that what an influence I was to him. So we have spoken, but we didn't get into his passing or anything like any of that at all. I haven't had a chance to. All due respect, I just wanted to let her have her time.
For sure. To grieve. If you guys can understand it, it's really kind of hard. I haven't cried or anything. I mean, we did at the memorial, but it was more, I was crying for other people. I haven't cried for myself about it. I just feel like until I find out what happened to Prince really and the way he was treated at the end of his life, then I probably will, and justice is served, I think that then I'll probably break down. But, I just don't expect Tyka to really, I think she's really going through a lot herself. And it would behoove me as her older cousin, to act like a fool and be out here, tripping like that. And I know people are, how would you act if something like that happened? I mean, no matter what you do, people are going to miscue it. So. Well, yeah. And that's what I'm trying to get to is like, and I don't mean in a sense of like,
come on.
I'm saying like, I don't mean like you would come at them like, yo, how come y'all not? I mean, just like, yo, we family, F all this other stuff. That's, get them on the phone or show up at the door. What's going on?
We've done it. We've communicated.
Okay.
But not, I've always tried, my wife and I, we reached out, and Tyka had told me herself, she said, it's been overwhelming for me, Charles, and I just need time to grieve. And I said, cuz you got that. So I never pursued it after that.
I got you. Okay. Yep. Man, now.
Because I do love my family. It was before Prince was famous.
Right.
And, I get all these lackeys, these boo birds that keep trying to come in. When's the last time you talked to him? Like really step off.
Right.
Right. You know what?
Yeah, that talk is that that's corny because a lot of people, they just don't see you as human. You know what I mean? They just they just see it. Oh, this is Prince, and here's this person. Right. They don't see you as real people because they wouldn't have those conversations with their own family like that.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't question. You'd be like, "Yo, we hurting. Let's sit down. Let's eat. Come together. Blah, blah, blah." So. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
And it's my family. I feel like he's my cousin, but I always refer to it almost like, but not in a gangster term, but like when you seen Minister Society when my boy lost his cousin when he got shot in the street, and they wanted to wreak revenge on my man because that was his cousin. He didn't see Harold all the time, but that was my boy's cousin. So he was like, "Yo, we got to come back and we got to throw something back out." But, that's how we were as kids, as a band and everything, is that we looked out for each other. So that never died because Prince went to superstardom, and I never was around him for that. That's another thing that's really interesting is that people expect you to be this, like, just because Prince became this big star, we're supposed to back off or something. I'm going like, nah, that's when you're supposed to step up. Because something eerily is wrong in all of that. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit back and let that go down. And I know he probably wouldn't with me. I'm sure of it, especially with the kind of man that he was, is that, he was all about that. So I'm just like I said, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. Other people can do what they want to do. All the parts to me that are positive, trying to find out what happened to Prince, all fit in my narrative. The negative stuff, I ain't about that. If you want to have a conversation with me, I will throw my phone number out and you can call me up. I ain't running from nobody. I try to tell everybody, I said, you don't see me running. My name wasn't on no pill bottles or nothing like that. Come on, speak it.
Okay.
So, hey.
Speaking of things of that nature, there was a lot of documents that had gotten released, those pictures,
Man, they gave me all that.
Interviews. Did you have all of that stuff before?
I had all that stuff, my brother. I got it before anybody else got it. They dropped that on me, and they even where you could tell they were uncomfortable about releasing those pictures. They personally pulled me and my wife and I for 3 hours. And I sat with these detectives. And, you know, brother don't want to be sitting with no law enforcement. Right. But, you know, I ain't been to no trouble. So I'm going like, it was really interesting to be friends with these cats for the past 2 years trying to figure out, you know, seeing if they're doing their job and stuff, and they really were. I had nothing negative to say about them. They did drop the information on me. They let us, told us what was going on with they're going to have to release the pictures. And they said, we don't have to, but it's at their discretion. And, you know, my wife and I, we thought, well, why are you releasing them? You know, but I guess I'll never understand why they did, but they did. And, you know, there's nothing really we could do about it, but I was definitely privy to the information before anybody else was.
Now, you just said something interesting. You said it was under the police's discretion to release those pictures? Absolutely.
Absolutely. They could have, you could tell the dude that I was sitting with, the guys, the detectives, you could tell the shame. I hope I'm not, it isn't a negative kind of shame, but it was like somebody over them said, well, we're going to release them anyways. And they just had to deliver the message to me.
Wow.
Because they said you could tell they were kind of embarrassed because they've been cool with me. And, you know, this is over their head because what I found out is that they don't really, from the FBI to people down to as low as down to the sheriffs and detectives, certain agencies have more power over the other one, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So they obviously it came from the top that they released those. And I haven't even looked at them, my brother. I wouldn't look at them. My wife tried to say, well, everybody's looked at them and tried to tell me about them. I just go, I don't want to see them. Don't tell me. I don't want to see them like that. And I don't even want to see I don't want to see the spot, man. I just don't.
Yeah, I'm just kind of blown away. I don't understand. What's the point of putting out the pictures of my man's body like that? I don't really understand what that would serve.
Yeah, man, I can't even see it. And people are trying to tell me again, you know, that they've seen it, and I go like, wow. Why you guys why you even want to see it?
Right.
I feel like, because I can't see my man like that. When he was walking around, I noticed when he was at that Warriors game, Prince didn't look right to me. My wife will tell you, I looked at him, I said, you know what? I know he's little, but he ain't that little. I wonder what's going on. So to see him, I don't want to see him like that. And even, you know, Tyka, she said she didn't want to see him when they, you know, had her identify the body and that it was, you know, identified that it was Prince. And she told me she didn't want to look.
Right.
She didn't want to look. She felt his hand and knew it was him because Prince had those unique everything, you know, you could tell by his hands. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want to look. So I kind of feel like it would be hard for me to see him like that, you know. And for them to release it, I just thought it was, you know, disrespectful.
And you couldn't say anything to them. They were just basically saying, hey, man, we're letting you know we're about to put these documents out on him.
Yep, that this is coming out. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And me and my thoughts, I'm going, oh, this is, as all kinds of people have been ascending in Minnesota, film people trying to come here. I've been getting warnings about people trying to contact the black community where Prince and I come from. And some of the black leaders called me up and put the word out to get a hold of me. And I spoke to them, and they were telling me to watch my back. Please let these people that are trying to do film, movies on Prince, to allow us to tell our story and not have them take it and do their story. And that, you know, I said, you don't got to worry about it, brother. I got that. And so I'm loved in my hood, man. When I went back to the neighborhood to do bus tours to show people the real places that Prince was hanging out in, him and I fished in the creek and all that stuff, I showed them, they nothing but love in the neighborhood, man. And they really were kind of at first going, what's going on? Is this these white folks coming in here and taking over? That's how they were viewing it. I got that from the top. The top of the black community was telling me, they said, but you're good, Charles. You're good. Man. You can come through, homie. And I said I wouldn't do it any other way if it would have been feeling like I was being disrespectful by doing it. But I said I want our narrative of what Prince was about to be spoken, not this one they have of him being abused and all this other crazy stuff. you can't be Prince if you were abused. Now, some folks would take that and go, you have to understand how black folks raise their children. To some white folks, it does look like it's abusive to have. I had friends who their mama would throw a shoe at them and it would have like a boomerang effect and go around corners and hit them in the head and stuff. And I used to go like, whoo, whoa, what's up with that? But that's just, you know, they would threaten you, but you know they wouldn't hurt you. You know that yourself. You know it. You know what I'm saying? But to some white folks, they go like, well, you guys must have. Nah, it wasn't like that. And the reason why Prince never really got himself in trouble or anything was because the way he was raised. And it was strict. It was strict. I mean, you know, your dad got in your ass. My dad got in mine. My dad was a Korean War vet, and he was a welterweight champion in boxing, Upper Midwest Golden Glove champion. So he was no joke. And we didn't talk back to that brother.
Yeah,
we just didn't.
This may sound foreign to some of the young ones because they'd be like, what are you talking
Absolutely. And some of we've lost that, right? I mean, you know, I have to come to my kids, you know, they look at me, they go like, they don't even look and talk back to their mother. Because I already laid that out when they were little teeny kids and stuff. And I look around me now, I see all kinds of craziness going on as far as like parents raising, they're scared to say something to their kids. Prince and I, we weren't raised like that, and that's not the way we were going to raise our kids. That's just not, it just wasn't in it. And, you know, they call it abusive just because your parents want you to stay in your lane, do the right thing. You know right from wrong. We wasn't going to be no dope dealers and nothing like that, not to knock anybody that had to do that hustle. Me and Prince, we were out raking leaves and stuff and cutting grass for money when we were kids. I had a paper route. Sounds corny, but it was real money. And we was hustling. And then everybody in the neighborhood showed us love by allowing us to come in and play their organs and stuff they had in the house because we didn't have one. Prince had a piano in his house, but, you know, these were some older black folks. That's because they knew our parents. We were able to come in and be in there by ourselves because they knew we weren't thieves. We could come in there and jam. And I'm forever grateful for that kind of love that we got like that. So I didn't look at it as being abusive. As you get older, you understand and you have your own family. You know, our family. Well, look what Prince did, man. I mean, that kind of discipline. I mean, when people go like, well, how come he didn't pursue? I said, man, nobody could do. Prince was built for that. Don't ask me. I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. I couldn't do. Anyone that lied will be a liar if they said they could do it like Prince. You can't. Forget it.
Let me be the hater for a minute because you kind of throwing some. Chazz, how come? Where's your music career at, Chazz?
Well, my music career is where I wanted it to be because Prince told me I could play with anyone. I could have been in this first band, as I heard as Gayle Chapman when she was interviewed on your show.
Yeah,
I was so glad she told that story about me. That was going to be my gig on the drums. And Prince offered me a different one because he needed to have a mixed band. He had offered me a different position, like to play percussion. But my ego's just as big as his. I said I wanted to play the drums. I didn't want to be no percussion player. And I never regretted it because he said, man, you could play with anybody. Because I really wanted to be his drummer so I could watch out for him. It was a family thing for me. It wasn't about the record business because I said I thought we wanted to be free from all that kind of 9-to-5 life where you kind of have to do this or you have to get up and you have to go over here. But when I seen the way he was working, I was going like, man, this is a full-time job and then some. And I said, I'm just going to pursue my own thing. And I did. I pursued wanting to play the drums like I wanted to do jazz. I didn't want to be a pop star. I felt like being jazz would keep you creating more, and you wouldn't have so much of the negativity about like the pop life. And Prince, like I said, he was made for that, and he still was incredible in that realm. But I wasn't trying to like have this career thing because I always hated the fact that it was about money and the backstabbing and all the other things that go along with all the distrust, all the liars, I'm still blown away that Prince was able to navigate and create like he did with that, right. With that in particular. I raised my family.
Okay, I want to go back to Gayle because I'm glad you brought that up Because I was like, wow, I didn't know that you guys had played together. Can you tell us, like, how did you meet her? Like, how did you guys initially meet?
One of my friends who I always had a band, even after Grand Central, and after the Prince was putting his first band together, and I was found out I was going to be the drummer. I still was arrogant enough and good enough. I went on ahead and started my own thing. I always have. So, and remember, I'm Prince's older cousin, so I just went on ahead and did my own thing, just so he would be proud of me. You know, just like, he wouldn't have, he would have looked at me like I was crazy if I would have tried to do something else. He would say, man, that's not what you were doing. So one of my friends said, there's this girl keyboard player, man, you might like to dig and hang out with. And I said, was she funky? He goes like, yeah. And so I said, well, let's arrange an introduction. So he did. And once, you know, of course, when musicians get together, it's about meeting with your instrument. And I brought my drums over to her house, and we started jamming. And that was it, singing and jamming together. She was a great guitar player. She could sing her ass off. And I kept her in mind. I said, that's real interesting. I'd like to use it for my group, but once Prince peeped to me, he needed a keyboard player. Hey, that was it. I just said, I'm gonna sit on it for a little bit while I was around her. I just didn't want her to I didn't like to brag, even though Prince used to get mad at me because I'd tell people about him, you know, fans and stuff. I would tell him, and he would go like, nah, I don't want the people following me around and stuff. And I go like, man, they love you, man. So, you know, I wanted them to dig me. I wanted people to dig me for me. So I knew she was knocked out about my drums, me playing the drums and singing. And I said, I'm just going to sit on it. And like I said, when Prince said, do you know anybody who plays keyboards, a female? And I said, wow, dude, do you need one? Yes. I said, oh, my God. I said, I know somebody that's dope, Prince. You're going to love her. And he said, bring her by. And as a man of my word, I brought her by. He knew I wasn't playing, and because he knew what kind of ingredients he needed in his music, what kind of people he needed. And Gayle was just perfect because she wasn't jive. She had that kind of religious component, and not kind of, she really did, because she tried to tell you about it, and boy, it was kind of scary when she tried to turn me onto it. I wasn't ready for it. Okay. And she got mad at me. She got mad at me because I just did it. She had paid for me to go to learn from the classes that she had and everything. Oh, and wow. I just couldn't feel it.
Now, in terms of religion and stuff and church, I mean, did you go to church when you was young or something? Or?
Oh, me and Prince used to go to church. Man, we went to 7-Day Adventists. My Aunt Mary would come and pick us up on Saturday and go to church. And
she must have scared you with some of that talk then, I would imagine.
Oh, you know what scared me, my brother. I mean, I remember at one of the meetings, there was a window in the back. I sat in the back on purpose. There was a window that I could creep out of if it got funky. So once it got like to that point where I was going, oh, it's time to leave, I pushed the window up and creeped out the back and went and sat in Gayle's car. And she came out, she was all yelling at me and stuff. I was going late. Oh, she was so mad at me. She started following me around, coming to my house and trying to get me. I was hiding from her like she was a Jehovah's Witness. Oh, Lord. So it was really crazy, man. And we never spoke after that, even though I got her, hooked her up with Prince and everything. She was really pissed at me because I didn't do it. She was all for me wanting to play the drums with, the whole thing with Prince. She thought I was going to be playing the drums too. And when things changed, she still thought I would, want to at least be involved in the religious part. And, I couldn't dig Dr. Warwick. I think that's his name and stuff. But it was just weird to me. I was like, wow, man, I haven't seen everything now. I'm a spiritual man, but not like that.
Right. So, we'll jump around, but I wanted to go back to something because I didn't get to ask you, about those documents and stuff. And there were like interviews, a few that I read. One in particular was like the one with Judith Hill and stuff like that. I'm just curious, man. And it sort of talks about the events, a few days before Prince had passed.
Right.
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on those interviews and comments?
Okay, there's quite a bit that I haven't listened to. My wife listened to almost everything, and she'll cue me in because I really don't like to. I already knew stuff before those documents came out, so it was just verification to me that some stuff was going on. And in my opinion, and the sheriff said something to me very interesting. He said that he felt bad for Judith Hill because of the Michael Jackson thing, and then she had to deal with the Prince thing. So it immediately, I know a lot of people are hating on Judith, but I never thought of her as being, she just kind of didn't know. It just is an unfortunate part of history that she might have to, kind of live with. I feel really bad for her, Okay. So I can't put her in that realm. Now, some of the other characters, though, that I found out about, like the Phaedra, I think is one of the stuff on her. Yeah. I blew my top on that one. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Because people would say, oh, yeah, everything's cool with Prince. There's no fees there. There's nothing going. You're tripping, Charles. And I'm like, nah, man, I ain't tripping. Because I know that all them people had their hands in Prince's pockets. And he was too busy and working so hard. And I was going like, yo, man, can my man get a break until I so we can kind of see what was going on? Obviously, he didn't get a chance to. But I really kind of, some of the stuff that I've read about them is fascinating to me that we didn't hear more things about what was going on in Paisley Park. And then I'd like to shut down another question that people are always asking me. They're going like, well, where were you when all this is going on? I said, I always answer them like this. I go, if I'd have been there, he'd be here. Trust that. So don't ask me when, what, where, and how. I was going, you should be talking to the people that were actually with Prince. I said, go back 100 days in his life and start from there. And I did that. I went on a search of 100 days of Prince's life before he passed. And somebody has done a documentary. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's Prince, the Legend or something like that. But they get kind of close to kind of how I stole this from Dick Gregory. And I think Tavis Smiley also did it with Martin Luther King. He did what you want to kind of do is run up into this person's death, what they were kind of going through, the events that led up to it. And I say, 100 days are kind of good, a year or so to kind of figure out what was going on then. I find that to be fascinating to me, Prince's last 100 days leading up to his passing. And there's a lot in that. So I hear a lot of people talking about how much they cared about him and, he was this and that to them. And I'm going like, well, then how come you guys ain't doing like me? Some unjust stuff was going on. Why ain't all you people running around doing tours and stuff? Why ain't you with me? Or why ain't you doing your own thing about what happened to my brother? Everybody seems to be okay with what went down. And they're going, well, we're doing a tribute. And I'm going like, well, that ain't a tribute. It had Prince just, like the way David Bowie, he was able to find out that, he found out he had cancer. He was able to prepare everybody for it. He did this album that was a narrative of what it was like living with cancer and knowing his death was coming up. That was classy the way my man went out. And, Prince and I, we're crazy about David Bowie. And I go like, why not Prince? Why did it have to be this, craziness involved? So, it always is with our people in somewhere, one way or another. And you know where I'm going with that, with the publishing and all that stuff with the record business. And a lot of people want to blame the record business and stuff. But I always go, you know what it is. The people in the business know. They know what's going on behind the scenes as far as like all the stuff that's going on, who's doing drugs and who's not. Mm-hmm. It also makes me ill that people don't want to believe that could happen to Prince. I think one of the detectives said to me, he said, I could see it. I almost kind of wanted to take the word out of his mouth because he said, well, some of it was maybe Prince's fault. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but the reality of having people that were hooked on drugs in our family when we were younger, and it was the reality of, if you're in pain, and he did have a partial hip surgery, I heard. It wasn't a full, and I got this from the detectives. No, he didn't have AIDS, and no, he didn't have the flu. But I always wondered if he had the partial hip surgery, so he must have been in a lot of pain. Well, what I learned, because I've been one of our local. This might be good getting off the subject, but it'll wrap back up into what you asked me. People have reached out to me from all types of life. In particular, a local news lady. She went to Harvard University. Her name's Esme Murphy. She did an interview with me. She wanted a lady had seen the interview, and this woman in particular, her name is Lexi. She had lost her soon-to-be husband from fentanyl, opiates, and she reached out to Esme. Can I talk to Chazz? And she said, I'll see what I can do. She talked to me, and I didn't know if I really wanted to get in that realm or not. But I said, it's best that I really kind of understand this this will help me understand why Prince would even get off the plane. And then it would occur that he would take something again, and not faulting anybody, but just saying I wanted to understand in the depth of it. And I learned so much after I met this woman who's got a foundation, and I think my wife sent the information to you. I've been going out and speaking with her as a family member who lost someone. We have all walks of life are at these meetings that we go to, and these she sets up these things at country clubs. These rich people sitting there that have had people in their families die from opiates. Rich, poor, don't matter, famous and not famous. And I did a clip for them, explaining to them my what it was like what it's been like for me, and my understanding about opioids and how easily they can be, you can get them, and what they do to the brain. And once she broke that down and I learned about it, it really relieved a lot of my thoughts about Prince, why he did what he did. And people don't understand that it's an illness. These things connect to your receptors in your brain, and it gets on your brain, and it changes it. It really does. Psychologically, physically, it changes the way that you think and you do things. So it gave me a total different understanding on his plight, and it had to be horrible for him. And I began to have a different understanding rather than judgment. Compassion was there. Not that I would have judged him anyways, but I know a lot of people are, and that's why they don't want to really believe that somebody, of his stature could get. It can happen to anybody, Mike. It just can. And it really opened my eyes up. And I promised Lexi, I said, whenever I can, if you need me to come out and speak out. Well, I got to meet our Congresswoman Amy Klobuchar. I got to meet Keith Ellison, the esteemed congressman, because I was doing the shows on that. And they said, we like what you're doing, brother. And I said, thank you, because Amy Klobuchar is putting a bill through Congress trying to go after the people that are trying to get it so that people are not only aware of the opiates and how quickly you can become addicted to them, and what it does, and that people can get Narcan, which brings you back after you've had an overdose, that everybody would have these in their homes. And I mean, it might sound like I'm all over the board, but you've got to be into that in order to kind of understand the kind of craziness that was going on in Prince's life, trying to deal with that. Because the way it was broke down to me is that you start to your day begins and ends with trying to get the opiate and hide it, all of it.
Right.
And it's the embarrassment that you could probably feel, the shame. And, I didn't want to look at it like, wow, I used to make sure that I didn't do anything to embarrass Prince at all. I didn't get out here and show my behind. If anything, I wanted him to read, oh yeah, man, my man's playing. He's still doing his thing. He never quit. That's all. And he's in trouble. I didn't want him to ever read anything like that because I was so proud of him, and I still am. But I also understand what addiction does, and it's a disease. Mm. And so I said, well, if nobody in the family speaks about it, I'm going to speak about that. Because Prince and I, we grew up with a heroin addict in our family.
Really?
So the opioid, that's the same thing. And my uncle, in particular, I'm speaking about, he died hooked on heroin. Mm. Not of an overdose, but trying to get off of it. He never was. He never got off of it. And then I found out 40 to 60% of black folks, black males in these states, in particular, Maryland and Washington, D.C., brothers are still hooked on the opiate, heroin. Wow,
man.
Age 40 to 60, my brother. Mm. Still fighting it. That had me sitting down because I'm going to be 62 in a couple of weeks. So I'm going, I ain't never touched that. I ain't thinking I'm better than anybody. I guess through God's grace. Mm-hmm. I don't like needles or any of that madness. Maybe that has something to do with it. And I in particular, I like being, stable. I don't like being drunk or anything like that. So I don't drink. We experimented with stuff like weed back in the day. Prince used to make fun of us. He used to go like, yo, man. He'd go like, I got some papers for you. And I go, what'd you get them for? He said, you know why he was trying to get me and Andre to go, yeah, y'all must be, I said, nah, man, it ain't like that. We tried stuff, but we weren't, that was about it. I just, like I said, learning all about this, it just gives me a bright perspective on how to approach other people that are going through this, especially people that might be going through it, not only in just my family, but if I could help anybody. Because I said, if it can happen to Prince, it can happen to anybody, but
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, no, it's very interesting. I mean, that sort of conversation, and it's almost like, how do you sort of help the next person who may be struggling with these types of behavior or this disease, as you said, and, I think that would be something that at some point, and this may sound crazy to people, but I think a part of the conversation about Prince is to say, you know what can we learn from something that happened to him? Ultimately, one of the things that contributed to this thing, and how do we help so the next person don't have to go through this? Or the way I look at it is what you talked about, the shame of it, the embarrassment. Absolutely. That's a big thing, especially for a man too. He's, I don't want people to know I'm going through this or I'm weak or something like that. But it's like, man, you got to let somebody know. It could kill you, man. Like, you don't have to hide this type of stuff, man. Get some help.
And be okay with getting help. Because that's the thing that I've been saying. I said, here's Prince who lived there. And I'm telling you, you couldn't have an ash. You couldn't smell like anything or anything. And I mean, the brother was like that from day one. I used to see him, like, people would start lighting up weed and stuff, and I said, I got to get my cousin out of here because he ain't with that. He ain't about that. And I'm sure, other people can attest to the same thing. He wasn't about no drinking, none of that madness. You couldn't do it. So I can imagine what he was struggling with. And then you got people surrounding you that maybe threatening, I'm going to tell somebody. See, now we getting into that. And then kind of kept him in that kind of purgatory of I got you in check, homie. I felt like there was a lot of that going on with him. And through speaking from, people that were around, facts that were telling me what was going on, I would say, well, I wish y'all would have told me, before, but that's okay because I get a lot of, well, where were you? Why did the family ain't want to do anything? I said, man, you don't understand. Michael Jackson's mama couldn't even get to see him. Mm. They can make it so in a way that you don't get the handlers to make it so you don't. And Prince ran the show, trust me. But I imagine when he was going through the opiate thing, it had to be so stressful trying to keep that from everybody.
Right. That's why I always say, man, it's it can be disconnected from family, but I also understand too that your blood family isn't always sometimes your family, but I do feel like you gotta have somebody that can pull your coat that you respect to say, yo, man, enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it wasn't in awe of you. I always told Prince what I thought. And all the things that I'm speaking to you about, I would have said it to him when he was here. And there are things that I did say and have said as a family member, as Chazz, about my cousin since the 80s and 90s. Articles and everything. You can look them up. I'm in about 15 books mentioned with Prince. And this before Prince passed away. Had anything I said been wrong, trust me, he would have probably said something about it or cease and assist a lawyer or something. Because I know he sent plenty of those to some of the band members so they couldn't talk. These particular band members will tell you, they told me a whole lot of stuff that was going on back in the day. But I always pride myself on going, hey, man, I was never afraid to say anything to him that I thought. The Prince, the star, never, that's not disrespecting him in any way. Don't get me wrong. I loved it that he was my cousin and he had achieved what he achieved. It made it possible for me to keep doing the stuff I wanted to do. I didn't want to be some fabulous big star because Prince was such a star. You ain't getting in that realm. So let's be real, everybody. You can try. You can try if you want to, but I love the position of him being my cousin and that he had made it that high. And then I said it made it possible for all of us to tell all our friends and family, you can do that too. You can at least try. You have no excuse.
Let's go back in the days again, in terms of in the band and everything. Like how, in your opinion, like how serious was Prince? That's the thing I always want to know. It's like, because it seemed like he was a very hard worker and dedicated. But I mean, compared to his peers, how serious was
Brother,
he?
let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Not to cut you off.
No, you good.
I know where you're going with that. I just get excited because it was. You don't really know what the result of all that's going to be. You just know he always was practicing. And I know people have said it, but they weren't there watching it. I watched him since he was a little kid. He just was relentless. And, as an athlete, we were relentless together about our pursuit of, I wanted to be the baddest drummer in the world. I wanted to be Mike Sharif of Santana. And at 14 years old, some of my friends would tell me, I said, you played that drum solo in Soul Sacrifice by Santana. If you hear the drum solo in that record, they say you played that to a T. I didn't even realize I did it, but it was because Prince had me working on a thing like day and night. And he always was like that. I don't remember a time. And then so I just said, well, I guess you got to be like that, and the people that are around us got to be like that, or else he didn't fool with them. So yeah, man, he stepped on the pedal and kept it going.
Where do you think that, in your just an observation opinion, where do you think that comes from?
I would have to say, even though people try to say that he had like this horrible childhood from going back, no kid can understand divorce or anything like that. But I think to be real, Prince's mother was a hard worker. His father was a hard worker. Integrity like you can't believe. Finish and do the job well. The best. Even if it's cutting the grass. Because I used to cut the grass with him and help him because he didn't want to cut it because I already had my lawn done. My dad just said cut the grass every Saturday. It was done. And bagged the leaves and the grass up in garbage bags and lined them up against the garage. And Prince will see me do that. I have friends that have called me to this day and said, man, dude, I used to ask, can I help you? My dad wouldn't even let people help me. He said, you do it. Same with Prince. And his stepdad, everybody tries to give a bad name. Haywood Baker, all props to you, my brother. His stepdad was the best thing that I thought came to Prince. Everybody called him abusive. No, Haywood Baker was like a hard worker too, and he wanted Prince to be the same way. And so he laid it out like that. Everybody, I thought in our neighborhood, you had to cut the grass if you were worth your grain, worth your salt. You were going to be doing your chores. I thought everybody had chores. So it was nothing for Prince and I would say our family is definitely from where they came from, and they projected that into us. The whole thing about where people, I had a fan ask me, where did Prince get the revolutionary, the standing up and fighting for race and all that stuff? And I said, it was our parents and our grandparents. They told us all about all these great people like Satchel Paige. And this is my grandma laying out Satchel Paige and throwing the baseball to me and Prince. And we're going like, who's Satchel Paige? And then we went, she told us about it. We went and looked at Althea Gibson, people like that, Wyoming Tyus. Prince was crazy about John Carlos and Tommy Smith. Because me and him he would go watch me run track. And on Saturday, we would sit and watch the Wild World of Sports, and we loved watching the 440, 220, and 100 meters. So that was their race and stuff. And when they put them gloves on, it was over for me and Prince. It was like, okay. That's why he wanted to meet Muhammad Ali, which he did. He always had that in him. That was from our family. Our family passed us down who we were, where we come from,
right.
The people that we come from, the strength of the people that we come from, that you don't make excuses. You can't give up. That comes from our family. They embedded that in all of us. But Prince got it, and that's why you've seen him go out to Baltimore and speak on the thing with Freddie Gray. He wasn't playing, but he didn't get much play for that. But I always thought that was interesting. They played Purple Rain and all the other stuff, but they won't kick it on how he was into Dick Gregory. Because Prince and I had the book Nigger by Dick Gregory. We had that in 1972.
Yeah, see, that a lot of that stuff is, I'm not going to say it's glossed over, but maybe because the people who sort of control the narrative don't really understand that.
Well, of course,
they're not going to talk about that. Right. But yeah, a lot of those things. But you can see it in his actions, right?
Absolutely.
A cat doesn't donate all this money and resources on the low if he wasn't in his spirit. You know what I'm saying? Where he come from.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah.
And we were into Angela Davis, Malcolm X, and you had Owen on the show, which was a great interview. And he was talking, I think his book about people that he's met that were famous or something like that. Well, man, some of the people that I've run across because of Prince being my cousin, I got to meet Betty Shabazz. And this is in 1993. She saw my Malcolm X book that I had, and she knew I didn't just go run out and get it because I thought she was coming to our house, because I didn't know she was coming to our house. I happened to meet her daughter, Kabila, and helped her move in an apartment where I lived. And I didn't know people were going, that's Malcolm's daughter. And I was going like, well, I'm hip to her. I treated her. We kind of had something in common. Her dad was famous. My cousin was famous. So we kind of like kicked it. Well, one day she told me, I want you to meet my mother. And I was going like, well, I'm not good enough to meet your mother. I mean, she was going like, boy, you're going to meet my mom. So all of a sudden I get a knock on the door. I just came from playing basketball. I tell the story a lot just to make this point. I looked through the peephole, and it's Betty Shabazz, Dr. Betty Shabazz, all due respect. And I said, I can't open the door. And she was going, what do you mean you can't open the door? I said, I'm all sweaty. I ain't looking good, and I'm not going to meet you looking like this. She said, boy, if you don't open this door. I opened up the door with my sweaty butt from playing basketball. She hugged me, blessed my wife who was pregnant, my daughter Mars, who was in her stomach at the time, blessed her and signed both of my books. And knew that I was about Malcolm way before, back in the 60s when I was a little kid, because her daughter had told her about me. And I just feel like I just was blessed to even get to meet this woman. And we're friends to this day. The daughters, the whole family. I mean, even after their mother passed, and they refer to me as a great friend, and I refer to them as a great friend. And I go like, hey, you can't get any better than that. I met Billy Preston, because of Prince.
Wow.
He knew he can't. Here my sister's been trying to get me to go to her church for I don't know how long, but then she said this particular Sunday she called me up and said, Billy Preston's grandmother goes to our church. She's been attending it for years now. And she said, would you be willing to come to church?
Amen.
Phone dropped. And so I took a picture with him. I never told anybody or anything. I just stashed it and stuff. And, I got to meet him. He told me how much he was crazy about Prince himself, and he said, man, I'm honored. I said, no, man, I'm honored. I said, you like the Sixth Beatle, man. You played with the Stones and everybody, dude. I said, man, we played some of your songs in Grand Central. We played Will You Go Round in Circles and Out of Space. We did the instrumental Out of Space and killed it. So I remember in your thing with, I know I'm jumping around, the Kevin Fleming interview, where he said our band got beat in the Battle of the Bands. Brother Kev, not when I was in Grand Central.
Here we go.
Not when I was in Grand. Now, Morris and them guys, because I confirmed this with some of the people that were in Grand Central at that time, Morris and Hollywood. They did lose a couple Battle of the Bands with them. I ain't knocking it because it was Morris in the band, but it was, we never lost when I was in our group. So, I was going like, yo, Kev, what's up?
Let me ask you this question since you done brought Morris up, and shout out to Morris Day.
Yes, I love Morris.
Who's the coldest drummer?
Right now?
No, I'm talking about
come on, man.
I'm talking about back then.
You talking about right now? Oh, come on. Oh, back then?
Back then.
Back then, Morris back then, he would kick everybody's ass.
Okay.
Just to be real, but there were other drummers that would have smoked him that never smoked all of us that really never got any play. And I was talking to one of my friends, and this brother named Keith King would have killed everybody. And I will also give the dude that was in the family, who was nobody could touch them. The drummer, his name was Joe Lewis. We all learned from him. He was smooth and silky funky like the dude in the Ohio Player. So right now, Morris would, no. No.
Okay.
No.
Hilarious.
anytime, brother, singing too, no.
Wow.
Because I was the lead singer in our Grand Central band. Morris wasn't singing, and the band members would tell you. I was singing lead. Okay. I was singing 110 across 110th Street by Bobby Womack.
Across
from there to the Starless. There you go. Kept trying to catch a woman next to me.
Now, do you guys have any tapes? Were there any recordings?
Oh, Andre has tapes.
Okay.
Andre has tapes.
Man.
Andre has tapes. And then the ones that Prince had, they mysteriously came up missing along with pictures from that. Okay. I asked Tyka, I said, what happened to the pictures, man? She said, when we went and checked out Paisley, them pictures were gone. Them were the pictures Prince was going to be giving us and stuff. So, I also wanted to say, here we are, we're some little kids in Grand Central, and this was without Morris in the group. And don't get me wrong, Morris is a fantastic player, fantastic guy, turned out to be one of the most incredible entertainers on earth. I have none but love and respect for him. I'm just telling you, we opened up for Marva Whitney, if you know who she is. Do you remember Marva Whitney?
I'm not familiar, no.
Okay, you look that sister up. She's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Europe. She was James Brown's protege, kind of a person that was with him.
Okay.
And we got a chance from our manager, Frank Jackson, rest his soul. All props out to Frank. He got us the gig to play behind her. Well, we didn't know who we were playing behind because we thought if we're playing behind her, she can't be that famous. But we knew we had heard the scene, right? We hated backing people because we didn't want to play other people's songs. We always would create our own. But, that wasn't flying if we were going to be getting gigs. So our manager got us a gig with her. And we were sitting there, who was this old sister? And then we did some research on her. And we had to shut our mouths and be proud of the fact that we backed her. And I found out a couple years ago that she had passed. And it brought that up again to me. And I was going, I wonder if Andre and them guys remember that we backed Marva Whitney. Well, I talked to everybody, and they said, yeah, man. We didn't understand the magnitude of us being able to play behind this talented, incredible woman. Shout out to her and her family for even thinking and allowing us to even back her. Okay. So, I felt like, what a charmed life we all have had.
Man, blessing. Going back to, I want to really go back to the investigation. You're starting your own private investigation. And I have to ask,
Yes, sir.
I have to ask these questions as well. So I know you guys are accepting donations, right? The people that help.
Absolutely, and we put our own money into. So the people aren't thinking. I had somebody say we're just getting money so we can go to Hawaii. Some idiot
Right.
said that junk, and I thought that was funny. I'm not going to Hawaii. Everybody, it's under volcano action. I'm not going.
Well, and that's the question I wanted to ask to that, and for one, I'm saying this because, a lot of our listeners I know are going to want to contribute as they probably should, but just to be clear, like, is there a certain amount of money you're trying to raise, or,
We're just trying to get big donors, all these big ballers that we're talking about. I'm gonna say love Prince and stuff. I'm calling them all out, and I ain't afraid to. We need them because the private investigators that we need, the kind of people that we need, and detectives and people that we need and that we're working with, everything's all legit. We got everything all set up, legally, tax wise, and everything. So this is all real talk here. This is not jive. We just need we don't know how much we're going to need. We just know that the kind of people that we're going after that can do this work that we need. Because now that information has come out, now you can get underneath the fingernails, and find out what exactly. Because the police can only do so much. They told me that. As long as they couldn't find out who provided the fentanyl to Prince, who mislabeled them. Why were the pills all over the Paisley Park? A detective, a really good one. And I'm not knocking Minnesota because I don't think they were really ready for somebody like a celebrity like Prince's stature to pass away. And the detectives, and the way he did the detective work, they don't have so much money. There were some things that went on behind the scenes as far as like changing administrations. When Trump came in, the guy that was the district attorney that was on the case left, and a new guy came in. So there was a fresh, new eyes on it. I'm in contact with that DA as we speak, and he got fresh new eyes on it. And so we're trying to get some people that are used to dealing in the realm of people that are famous and so on, that can do that work, and it's going to be expensive. So
right.
That's why we need.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I'm just asking this sort of to say, because a lot of times say, okay, well, we got to have this much money, or this is the people we're going to try and hire.
Well, we don't know the amount yet because we're trying to get it. As we're speaking, we're contacting people. We have an attorney out there looking for the right guy, because we also know, and the law enforcement told me this. They pulled me aside and they said, you got to be careful, because everybody's going to want to be having a claim in this game about Prince. And I didn't need them to tell me that, but it was nice for them to acknowledge the fact that that's what's going to be the tough thing. Who's really serious about finding out what's going on and not take the money just to be, giving us the runaround? This has got to be done right, and I'm going to make sure of it, because nothing gets done. Nothing is going on unless I have something to do with it. We're not going to let somebody lobby their way in and control the narrative of what we're doing. We're keeping the focus on finding a private investigator that can. Right now, I know there's people from some of the phone calls I've gotten, and people don't want their names mentioned. I can't mention them, and I can't tell you everything that I know about what I'm doing with as far as like. I just know it. I'm gonna lay this out. It's an open investigation. It never was closed, and so if anybody has any information that they can lay on me that will help, it would be really greatly appreciated. And like I said, we've never stopped pursuing this, and we're not going to.
Okay. Is there any sort of like not a time frame for when it to be over, but in terms of like in the next such and such time we plan to do this? You know what I mean? Is there any sort of plan?
We left it open. We're going as soon as I already know people are starting to talk, and I also know that law enforcement probably realize this too, that people, once information comes out, people start telling each other. And now that information was out about certain people, I mean, I'm getting all kinds of calls.
Wow.
It's just going to be a matter of time, my brother.
Have you ever, I don't want to say ran up on people, but I mean, have you ever come across people in your hometown who may have some information? I mean, like you've personally been able to holler at people or speak to some of the people in question?
Have they tried to, the people in question? No. But people that are around the people in question, yes. Okay. That know those particular people in question, yes. I can say that. I can't say their names, but because they don't want it out there.
For sure.
And so because people are afraid that they ain't gonna get to work, in this industry again. That's why I told you this is a lot of people are afraid for their careers or whatever, because there are people that aren't, getting the calls because they've talked. Mm. So, and I understand that completely, because I said, well, then just let me take the hit. They can come at me. I ain't worried about it. You tell me and I'll do the work.
All right. Man, Chazz, is there any, we could go on for days, but we're not going to go on for days. Is there anything else that you want the people to know about this?
Oh, about the investigation, I can't really say anything. Okay. About specifics, I've left. My wife is. I know she's left the information out for you. And I would encourage people to check out my website, Justice for Cuzz. All that information is there, and we'll take it from there. And that's the only thing I can say right now, is that I want people to stay strong and stay behind me. And if you don't have anything positive to say or contribute, because we need all people that are working on this. I'm just doing one angle. There are other people that have suggested to me they have other angles that they want to go at. It's independent, separated from me. I said, as long as you don't clash with me, we're cool. If we're all going and we're all focused on the same thing, it's all good. But if you don't, I don't know why you even want to be even involved. So, don't give me that, that sidetrack. We're trying to knock you guys off your trail, because we're not going to be knocked off. So I'm just encouraging all the fans and all the people to keep supporting me, and I really appreciate it. I'd like to shout out to everyone that came to Minneapolis. People came to Minneapolis, my brother, from all over the world to meet me. Yeah. And I thought that was just so fascinating. And I'm just so overwhelmed with gratitude that they feel like that about my cousin. I can't put it into words. And I need those people to stay. I want to just give them a shout out for loving Prince that much, and then loving me and my family enough to understand and try to, help out in any way that they could. I mean, it isn't just about money. It's also the spirit of finding out what happened to Prince. I want that to be elevated as well. So, yeah, if everyone could do that, hey, and if you don't want to do it, I ain't begging nobody. I ain't asking nobody. I just feel like this is my family member. I'm just doing what I think I'm supposed to do. And if it comes out that something else happened differently, I'll let it go. Okay. But until it's right, I don't think we should stop.
And I wanted to ask you, we didn't get to talk about your tours and stuff of that nature. Is that
those were crazy cool, man. They were sold out, brother.
Is that something you're going to continue to do or thinking about doing? Or?
We're doing some in June. And that's going to be it. We didn't want to make it like at Paisley Park, not to knock Paisley, but they're doing the tours every year and stuff. I mean, that's their thing. We're not doing it. I just wanted it to be a once in a lifetime experience for people that could come and have me actually sit there, actual family member that actually watched Prince actually grow up and actually really knew him before he was famous and after, to come and check out some of the spots that we practiced in, started our band Grand Central in my house. We went to my house, went to Andre's house, and we went to Terry Jackson's house next door, because those were the three spots that all of this started in. So, like I said, in June I think we have 4 days we're doing, and then that'll be it.
Okay. What's the now? You just mentioned a few names, of course, the great Andre, Simone. You said Terry Jackson.
Terry Jackson, our percussionist, who came into the group.
Who was that?
After seeing us in the.
No, I was going to say, give me the names of all the cats that was down back then.
Oh, in our group?
All the names of the people that was in the group back then that you guys all rolled together.
Okay. I will start with Linda Anderson, Andre's sister. Andre Simone Anderson, of course, first. William Dowdy, they call him Hollywood. Shout out to Hollywood. Shout out to Terry Jackson. And myself. And Prince, of course.
Okay.
That was it. That was Grand Central, the essential Grand Central, the original Grand Central. Those brothers.
Now,
them are my brothers. They always will be.
Of all those people you mentioned that are still here with us, what's the communication like? What's what's the squad? Y'all speak? What's up with that?
Well, it's kind of weird in a way because Prince's death has really had some interesting effects on all of us. I think my boy Terry Jackson was talking to Andre, and then him and Andre kind of got into a little thing, and then me and Andre, and it's like our whole William Dowdy, all of our guys are just I don't know what maybe it's the way that we're all feeling. We don't know what to do with the emotion of it all, but I just think that we're all trying to do our best. And I don't really feel like the way I felt right after Prince died. I've learned so much. I felt like I've grown a lot. So I'm trying to speak out to all those guys, Dre, everybody. I'm going, this is the time that we should be close. It didn't happen at first because I think everybody was freaked out of the fact that happened to Prince because we didn't see that coming. I can't tell you. We did not see that coming. We just thought we'd be gone before Prince. Really, I just think that, we really kind of needed our parents to be alive because Andre's mom would always go, you guys started this thing together and you will end it together. Her last day on this earth, we all got a chance to speak to her privately. And when I went paid my respects to her, she whispered in my ear, she said, you guys all stick together and don't give up on Prince, because he wasn't talking to everybody at that time. And she said it. So in honor of her, we need to be cool. All of us brothers, we need to stick together. So
I tell you what, we're going to hold y'all to that. So now I'm not in no position to speak for anybody. Let's be clear. But just as grown ass men, and
yes,
what
sir.
you just said right there. Now, again, that doesn't mean that there's other issues and things but we're going to hold the listeners. We're going to pray and hope that y'all do that, man. For whatever else is going on.
And we will.
Okay. I hope so.
Yes, sir. And at least me being the oldest and the de facto leader, I'm throwing it out there. I mean, I never felt any way strange towards any of my guys anyways. I just felt like we're kind of like we're left on an island with no place to go because, as long as Prince was out there banging it, and it's, to me, the next, and some people are going to probably go like, oh, they're just going to be so mad at me if I say this. To me, the next best thing to Prince Nelson was Andre Anderson.
Okay.
Andre Simone.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, I'm just telling you. People argue with me all the time. They're going, "No, you don't know what you're talking about." And I'm going like, "Yes, I do." And there's a reason why people enjoy Andre's music and the way his vibe is. There's a reason why, and I'm not too petty to go and admit that. So, shout out to him. I always will love you, Dre. There ain't no, my family and everybody, we always have. I was in their home so many times, man, Mike, you can't even, I've been in all kinds of situations with with their family, Terry's family. I mean, we're all, and William Dowdy, Hollywood, all of them guys. And it's just, it's never been, I don't think there's been any healing from when Prince first just when Andre left the band, when he left Prince with, when he was doing the tours with him. Me, Terry, and all the other former Grand Central members, we were there when Andre wanted to do his solo career. And we supported him. Always. He always had my support. All of them guys always have. We've always had his back. And we'll continue to.
All right. Well, we're gonna leave it at that, man. And y'all gonna help us younger brothers and lead it by example and show us the way. So I'm gonna put that on all y'all to do that.
Oh, we old school. We're supposed to be better than that, man.
That's right.
We're supposed to be doing better than that. So I'll unplug the log block and I'll lay it out there that I love all them guys and I always will, because me and Terry, we still talk, and Hollywood has reached out to me. And I know Andre's busy doing his thing, but I said, we still got to be cool. We all have to stay connected. We can't allow all of this and all these enemies that are out here separate us. Can't have it.
All right.
Because we're all speaking from our hearts and stuff. We're all doing what we need to do, And so, hey man, come on.
I feel it. All right, man. We about to get up out of here. Chazz, where can people go again to get the information on everything? Is it justiceforcuzz.com?
Justiceforcuzz.com, brother.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. And everything you want to know what I'm doing as far as even with the thing with the opiates, the conferences and things that I'm doing, and the things that some of the symposiums that I'm doing, all that stuff it's all about trying to lift up Prince, man, and make sure he's never forgotten. I know people say, "Oh, we ain't gonna forget him because of his music and stuff," but he was just more than the music too, you guys. Mm. So, if they'll go to my website, they'll dig where I'm coming from. It ain't about me trying to be some, I'm not some cousin that just came out of the blue and found out Prince was my cousin.
Right.
So, I've been there from the gate. So I feel like I'm just, doing my little contribution to it. So.
Hey man, I'm not mad at you. If something was to happen to me, I want somebody to ride for me hard. Like I would love.
You know what
that.
I'm saying?
So I feel you.
Of course you would. Of course you would, man. And it's like when the lights are off, people, they try to act like you can't see, but I'm going like, yo, man, when it's dire and things are bad, you see where your friends are and the people that care about you. Well, Prince probably would be going like, wow, my cousin and all these fans that paid to see him and adored him, they're fighting for him. So I feel like this is the right thing to do. It just feels right. And don't get me wrong, I have plenty to do. I don't have to do this. I want to do it because I'm raising my kids. So if somebody calls, hey, why don't you just, why don't you have anything to do? This is what I'm doing, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Okay. All right,
Chad. Don't come on here next week talking about you dropping an album now.
You'll never, Michael. You would never see me doing. You will never see me contradict anything that I'm saying. I am not going to be. You won't see me on tour signing. Now, see, I've been offered a book deal. And I turned that stuff down because I've been offered to go on these shows like Reels and stuff, turned them down, and they paid.
Oh, really?
But I got my own stuff. I don't need. They offered me to do that stuff. They called me, and I hung up on them. Wow. I said, I'm not doing that crap because I know it's crap. I'm not. And the book deal, I said, are you kidding me? I said, when there's a time in the right place, I'll talk my book. Like I've been doing. I've been telling everybody.
Yeah, I could actually see it. I mean, I would love to hear those early, that when y'all was kids and that kind of stuff.
Oh man, there's so much, man. You'd be on the phone for like 30 days, bro. Right. And so for me, I'm going. It's not the right time to do any kind of book or anything. It ain't about me. It's about Prince Nelson. So that's where I'm focusing my time on. And I'm not knocking anybody that's doing books. because they're doing that, what they got to do, or selling tapes or music or whatever they're doing. You won't see me doing it.
All right. Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all going to have something to say. I know it. They're going to have comments, but hopefully it's all good and constructive stuff. And if there's a little pushback,
well, check it out.
We can deal with that. Say it again.
If it's not, tell them to call me.
Hey, be careful.
If they got a problem,
they'll call you now.
Hey, yeah, well, you know what? I ain't scared of nobody, brother.
Chazz, I've had a vision.
That's right.
I've spoken.
Yeah, they had a vision. Yep, they don't have a vision. I said, you think Prince Nelson was a trip? You call me up and see what happens.
Oh man,
I recommend it. I guarantee you, they won't be calling.
You say you're the right one, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. I run from no one. So like I said, if they want to complain, go and bring them complaints because I got something for everybody.
So you got something for that.
So, I like to say though, man, I really appreciate you, man, brother, doing your thing on Prince. I mean, I think that's a unique concept, and I know everybody else was trying to do their whole thing, but I think yours is probably the most. I hope I don't get anybody upset at me, but if they do, they can call me too.
Hilarious.
You got the dopest show on Prince.
I appreciate that.
That's all I'm saying. I'm dropping that.
I appreciate that, sir. All right.
Loved your interview too with Paul Peterson. That was dope.
Paul is the man.
Because I know his brother Ricky.
Okay.
You know Ricky auditioned for Prince?
Yes, I heard the stories. Yeah.
No, I was there.
Oh, really?
I was there, my brother, and Ricky turned him down. And when I seen that, I said, "Oh shoot!" He wasn't knocking Prince or anything. He just could kind of see he was older than us, and he could kind of see the business in that he would just be a keyboard player playing in the band. And he had his own aspirations because their whole family's been dope in music for I don't know how long.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That's
so
what you're saying.
I really like that interview because Paul, you ought to see his. Man, Paul Peterson is so unbelievable. But you know what? And Ricky's even unbelievable. It's just sickening. And then the brother that plays the bass, and then they got the nephew. His name is JP, they call him, Jason Peterson. Man.
Okay.
Oh, and I also, before you get off, I got to tell you about somebody who never gets any props. And I promise they're part of this Minneapolis scene. He's in the Purple Rain movie and everything. And if you can get him on the show, his name is Jerry Hubbard.
Oh, okay. I've heard of him. Yeah. He played with Jesse, I think. Or was he in? He was in the time.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me tell you something about Jerry Hubbard. On all these people we've mentioned, from Jesse to everybody, playing all the instruments and doing all the stuff, Jerry Hubbard. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay. He wanted the cold ones. Okay.
Well, I've heard you interview all the cold ones, but they would have to take a step back.
Really?
To J Hub, man. I'm telling you.
Okay.
And he's a very private brother, so I hope he don't get mad at me for putting him out there like that. But I just love the dude, man. He had a deal with a songwriting deal with Michael Jackson. People don't really know that, but
wow.
I've been around him. He grew up watching our band Grand Central, and to have him come out as what a phenomenal musician that he is. He plays the bass, guitar, drums, and keyboards, and can sing.
Yeah,
and before all those guys, and I can also tell you the story about how Prince got him in the group because the bass player they had couldn't get up early enough to make it to the Bless His Soul, couldn't get up on time enough because Prince sent that limo to pick him up for Purple Rain. They just called Hub on the spot. And Hub was up at 5 a.m. when that car came, and the rest is history. Wow. He doesn't get enough credit to me. And I've heard everybody else being praised, but Morris and them guys all know Hub. Get him on that show, your show, man.
I will do that.
You got to.
I'll do that. I'll reach out. Man, I appreciate you putting me up on him.
Man, I'm surprised nobody. I've been listening to see if anybody was going to mention him. I said, wait a minute. Hub will bang everybody. Come on now.
Man, I don't know.
His daddy was a professional. His dad was like the George Benson of our neighborhood. People used to go. Sonny T used to go get guitar lessons from his Jerry Hubbard Sr. So everybody knew about Hub's dad. But Hub used to come and watch us at our band practices in Grand Central at Andre's mom's house. And to see him turn out, and also Mint Condition, them brothers used to come and check us out too. Stokely and them guys. So, they kind of feel like I've had people come up to me and say, man, them guys kind of got their vibe from you guys, and which I'm really proud of. And Jerry Hubbard is one of those guys, man. Of course, Stokes speaks for himself.
Right.
There's nothing else to say. The coldest R&B real band musician playing dudes on the planet.
Okay. I don't know what
I'm
y'all
sorry.
had
I mean,
in what
it's-
y'all had in the water up there or what, but there that period.
Oh,
man,
you know
y'all
we had the funk.
kill
You
it.
know that it was like I try to explain to people. They go, "Well, what is the Minneapolis sound?" I said, "There really isn't a Minneapolis sound. Prince had his own sound. Morrison and them guys had their own sound, even though they were time. You can say because it comes out of Minneapolis, but from our rock groups to our funk bands, everybody was unique. It's a sound of individuals. It's not, and everybody wanted to outdo everybody. It wasn't a thing. No one wanted to be the same as everybody. Like today, everybody copies. Those cats back in the day, including guys that never really made it, were so absolutely fascinating to watch. Singing groups, bands behind singing groups. We learned and cut our teeth watching that. So them guys, definitely all those bands back then, that's why I feel like some of the cats must feel insulted. I told the people at the University of Minnesota when I was talking to them that they wanted to do the Minneapolis sound thing. I was going like, it ain't really, it's an insult to put it in that little cap like that. Because Motown, right, they got their own, that was the Motown sound of Philadelphia. Yeah, they got their sound. But see, we had groups that had their own sounds. Prince was his own sound. You couldn't copy it. The time was their own. Once Jimmy and Terry and them guys put their thing together, they had their own sound.
Right.
Everybody had their own. Andre Simone, own freaking sound, man. Own sound. Jerry Hubbard, Jesse Johnson, own sound. Nobody sounds like them. Nobody.
All right, man. We here
You
listening
just happen
to
to be in Minneapolis.
the teacher.
Go ahead.
And I was we listening.
I'm
to the teacher.
I'm just saying, man.
Well, man, we appreciate you, Chazz. Listen, because like I say, we can keep it going. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for putting up with me, bro.
Oh no, it's you putting up with me. Thanks for blessing us with the stories and the insight.
Nah, anytime, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to the Prince podcast here on podcastjuice.net. Please continue to support. Please share this with other fans out there. And, you know, as we always do, we always appreciate everybody that comes on and shares. Hey, like I always say, work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.